Hello, my friends. Come on in. I'm going to give everybody another couple of minutes to come on in. Nice to see everyone. Hello. We're going to get started in just a minute. I just need to wait for a couple of more people coming. All right. How's everybody doing? Good to see you all. Where's my participants list? There they are. Ooh, I have tech support on. Can you see me? If you could find your Q&A and let me know if you can see me and hear me. All right, tech support says we're good to go. Thank you, Josh. All right, so I'm gonna go ahead and get started. If anybody joins late, that's fine. All right, so this is how this call is going to go. I'm so excited you guys are here. Thank you so much for joining. I am going to do a quick introduction of myself. Some of you I know pretty well. Others of you I've never met before, so I'll be introducing myself. I'm going to dive right in and tell you some of the secrets that I have learned to help me stop overeating in hopes that you too might be able to employ some of these and use them, start using them right away. And then if you're interested in hanging on till the end, I'm going to tell you a little bit about this life-changing program that I'm going to be launching starting next week. It's so exciting. I'll tell you a little bit about phase 1 of the program. And if you're interested in that, you can sign up. But all right, so let me tell you a little bit about myself for those of you who don't know me. My name is Susan Soares, and I am a certified life and weight loss coach. I was certified through the Life Coach School back in September. It wasn't that long ago, a month and a half ago. I was introduced to coaching about a year and a half ago at a very low point in my life. I had been working a job about 50, 60 hours a week. It was very high pressured. There's my friends on the call from work know exactly what I'm talking about. And during that time, I've been there for about 5.5 years. And so in that first 4 years, I had put on about 40 pounds. And I can't blame the job because I put the food in my mouth and I was the one who experienced the weight loss. But what I noticed is that it was just a lot of stress eating, a lot of habitual eating. I was traveling, so I was going out to dinner a lot, and all of those things just kind of caught up to me. And then I'm going to take you back another year. Before that was when I actually started my weight loss journey, hopefully for the last time. So about a year before that was when I started exercising at the Y. And then I just started exercising and I thought, oh, if I just exercise and eat all the same foods, if I just, change that one behavior, I'm bound to lose weight. Of course, that didn't happen. And then I found a pretty popular app. You guys may have heard of it. It's called Noom. And Noom really helped me. And it helped me to the point where I had lost about 30 pounds. And I thought things were going pretty well. And then I kind of got myself off of Noom and all my behaviors started coming back. I wasn't kind of paying attention. And this has just been my pattern for throughout my life. All the different times I've tried to lose weight, I kind of lose weight and then I stop focusing on it and then I gain it back. And so luckily I didn't gain the weight back because I was introduced to coaching. And so I started really looking at my thoughts and what was leading me to overeat, right? So, and that's really what coaching does. It's the kind of coaching that I do. There's lots of different kinds of coaching. So the kind of coaching that I do now is called causal coaching. So what's really at the root of the problem? And so that's really what has helped me the most. Coaching has changed so many different aspects of my life, including wanting to become a certified life coach. And so just a quick story. In my job, we are mostly remote and we get together at different periods of the year. And so there's this one woman who had been such an advocate of me losing weight. And I saw it. So I had started coaching in about August of last year. And then I saw her in November at a group meeting and she just kept looking at me and she's like, something's different about you. Like, did you change your hair? And she's like, you're the same weight as I saw you last time. I know that's not it. And we couldn't figure it out. Like I had the same glasses, same haircut, same, clothing. And then we were saying our goodbyes and we were getting ready to get on the plane. And she's just like, I don't know what it is, but you are so zen. There's something so chill about you. And it was at that point that I really thought, like, people are recognizing the work that I'm doing in my brain, that I am so much more at peace with things. And so I went home and I actually signed up to be a life coach after that, because I know that part of what we do as coaches is live and breathe these methods to kind of get to the heart of what we're doing. And at this point, I'm kind of living my dream doing this webinar for you all. So anyway, all right, before we jump into secrets and overeating, I want to level set a little bit. I feel like we have a pretty good sense of the things that are good for our bodies, that nourish our bodies, that fuel our bodies. Things like fruits, vegetables, whole grains, fish, lean meats, if you eat meats, low-fat dairies. There's lots of things that we could name that are pretty good for us. And then we also have a pretty good sense of those things that are not as good for us. So when I think of the things that are not as good for us, the things that I struggled with the most are things like fast foods, processed foods, cookies, cakes, brownies were always my favorite, sugary drinks. And then we have another kind of cohort of people who really like the salty foods and crave those kinds of foods and the greasy foods. And so those are typically those not as good for you foods. Those are typically the ones that we overeat. I've definitely seen people overeat carrot sticks. I didn't think it was possible, but I've seen it. But typically our bodies respond in a more strong way to those things that processed foods. The other thing I want to say about overeating is overeating is different for everybody, right? So I have a friend who said, well, I don't feel like I overeat. I just eat, like throughout the day, but I never feel like I overeat. Well, overeating is sitting down and eating too much in one sitting. So having seconds or thirds at dinner, that could be considered overeating. Binge eating is a form of eating where in a short period of time you consume a large amount of food. That's another type of overeating. Overeating could also be just snacking on your favorite salty snack throughout the day, maybe because it was sitting there on the counter. It could be you're at a party and there's cheese and crackers in front of you and you're sipping wine and you're drinking, eating cheese and crackers. It could be anything. But the bottom line I want to say is overeating is consuming more calories in a day than your body needs. Right? So if we are maintaining the weight we are, we are eating enough that our bodies have enough fuel to just maintain. And if we're overeating, it means our body is getting too much food, and then that's what gets stored as fat. So are we all on the same page? I would like you to find your Q&A for me. And I want you to pop into the Q&A. What is it that you typically overeat? Is there anything in particular that you find yourself overeating on a regular basis, whether it be a habit like my bag of popcorn, whether it be ice cream, whether it be, other things? Just pop into the Q&A. I'm going to try to make this a little more interactive and tell me, what are those things that you like to overeat? Recently, I'm guilty of overeating spice cake covered in apples. It was just really good. Good. So brownies, yes. Oh, Oreos. Yes, a whole sleeve of Oreos. What else? If you're interested at all, you can certainly. I think you can post anonymously if you don't want to share your name. I'm not going to share your name anyways. But yes, popsicles. Who knew? We actually, yeah, we have popsicles, but overeating popsicles. Anything's anything's popsicle. No, just kidding. Sweets generally, yes, sweets. Oh, um, yes. Sometimes popcorn, sweets, chips are dinner, and we do tend to overeat them. So thank you. Yes, that gives me a kind of a setting for you all to get a sense of where you are. All right, so let's get to it. Why do we overeat? The reasons why, I'm going to start with the reasons why we overeat, because we're going to, let me pop in my share screen. That's not what I want to do. Screen 2. I have a lot of screens. I live with a techie, so I have a lot of screens. All right. Reasons why we overeat. We have very normal human brains. Thank goodness. This is very good news. But when we eat certain high sugar, high processed foods, our brain gets this signal that they're like all the bells and whistles go off in our heads. And when we start overeating that food, our brain actually starts to change. The chemicals in your brain change. Think dopamine, right? So if dopamine is a chemical that's released in your body that is a pleasure chemical. So we get dopamine from all different places. But when we overeat these high processed, sugary, salty, intense foods, our brain releases dopamine. And that is reinforcing, right? Our brain starts to believe that these foods are the most important foods there is on the earth. They just think that we have to have them. And later, when we see those foods, when we smell those foods, when those foods are nearby, our brain says, you must go get that food. That is critical for our survival. And we crave them. That is what happens when we crave food. It is our brains telling us this is necessary. Imagine, I imagine you all know what it's like to crave a particular kind of food. And tell me if the foods that you find yourself craving, pop into the Q&A, are the foods that you find yourself craving the same ones that you listed, or are there ever foods that you find yourself craving that that just kind of come out of nowhere? So, oh, so specific. Dulce de leche cake. That was a good one. Oh, here's some Cheez-Its. Yes. I have a friend who loves pound cake, and there could be a whole pound cake, and she will just come back for little bits and little bits and little bits. We use words to describe these foods. This is my downfall, right? Brownies are my weakness. I've recently gotten into these root vegetable chips that are just amazing. And I like the crunch, and I'm like, oh, they're root vegetables, they're good for you. Not so much chocolate. Oh, so chocolate after dinner is like kind of my thing. Anyway, so our downfall, our weakness, we use these words. The truth is our brains are functioning perfectly normally. We have programmed our brains. Every time our brain says, I want this, we give it to them. Think of your toddlers. If you're a grandmother or have had children, think of the kid at the store who's screaming and yelling in the cart because they want something. They want something from the candy. And then the mother's just like, here, take it, just be quiet. And the next time the kid goes back, what happens? They want it again. That is what our brains are doing. Here's the secret. The best news ever. We can reprogram our brains. It is absolutely possible. I no longer eat a bag of popcorn in the afternoon. I no longer have chocolate after every single meal. I still have chocolate. I eat pretty much whatever I want to. But our brains are functioning normally and we can reprogram them. All right, here's the next one. We tell ourselves lies about overeating and about what things are going to happen once we change our behaviors. And here's my favorite example. I'll be able to love my body when I weigh X pounds, or when I can fit into a size Y pair of pants, right? And we think that that's motivating. We think that that's useful, but really it's just a lie we're telling ourselves, and it doesn't help us so much. So, where was I? Seems useful, motivating. I say this all the time to myself, right? That's totally me. Who would love this body, right? Those are the things I say to myself. And what I found in my weight loss journey is even after that first 30 pounds, I still wasn't so happy. I wasn't happy with what my body looked like then. It just felt like, oh, this isn't enough, right? I still was having all those same opinions about myself. And when you've dieted in the past and you're able to lose the weight, you're able to do that for periods of time, and then our brain starts giving us those same thoughts back, right? So even after 30 pounds, it wasn't enough. It's like our brain was just like a thought error. It would go back to that thought I used to have before. And you can get very focused and lose weight for a period of time to fit into a dress or something like that. But the chances are pretty good that those old thought patterns are going to come back. And if we really want to stop overeating, we have to be on ourselves as far as the lies that we tell ourselves. It's just not help. I didn't find it was very helpful to me. The truth is that you can love your body right now, and loving your body now and showing some compassion now is only going to be helpful to you. And so let me just kind of sum up this one as far as the secrets. It is that we can't expect ourselves to change just by changing our behaviors. That there oftentimes needs to be that thought work that goes into it as well. There are some programs that absolutely will teach you how to just lose the weight. But what I have found is that out of all the times that I've tried that, it just hasn't been helpful. All right, the next one. We spend our lives very disconnected from our bodies, right? We do a lot less planning for our bodies and a lot more reacting with our brains when it comes to food. And so we see something, like I mentioned, our brain says that they want it. And when we eat it, our brain gets all the pleasure. But when we overeat it, then what happens? Right? Then our bodies start to feel awful, right? Your body does not thank you for having a huge piece of cake or all that chocolate or all those salty chips, right? You feel horrible. You feel bloated. And even you may say to yourself, like, you're going to regret this. I've heard that. You're going to regret this. And we feel awful. And if we could spend more time becoming more aware of what it is we're eating, how it makes our body feel, we would be so much better off. And my favorite awareness tool that I don't think that there's a weight loss program out there that does not have you track what you put into your mouth. So food logs, food journals, food diaries, whatever it might be, are one of the greatest awareness tools. It's very hard to consistently document everything you eat and not have there be a change in your behaviors, because you have to document it. And so that's something you all can start doing today, right? There's lots of apps out there that allow you to keep track of your food. Noom has a free app. MyFitnessPal, Nike Training. Like, I think there's just a lot of different apps out there. If you're using one now, go ahead and pop that into the Q&A and let me know that you're using something to keep track of what you eat, and I'll share that with other folks. All right. So the next one, I want you to think of the last time you've overeaten, right? So the chocolate, the sweets, the popsicles, the nibblers, whatever it might be. I want you to think back to that time. And I want you to think about how your body felt, right? So your body's not feeling well after you ate whatever it is that you've eaten, the whole bag of blank. And chances are, if you're anything like me, you will start the berating starts in your head. So your brain comes down off its dopamine, your body's not feeling so well, and you start beating the crap out of yourself. And this sounds familiar. Why did you eat this much? This is the reason why you can't lose weight. I can't lose weight. These are the things that I say to myself. Tell me if any of this sounds familiar. There's something wrong with me. This is why I can't reach my goals. I knew I couldn't stick to a plan. I used to say that all the time on repeat after every time I would overeat. And so anybody else say other things to themselves, or do you find yourself saying some of these things to yourself when you may be overeating? Just go ahead and pop that into the Q&A. Tell me if you can relate to the sitting back after overeating and just beating the crap out of yourself. I want you to think about, if you're somebody who does this, I want you to think about what it would be like if your partner, your spouse, your child, right, your good friend said to you, I'm going to try to make a change. I'm going to try to be a healthier version of myself. And you were like, great, you can do it, right? You're going to be encouraging to that person. And then they see you the next day and they're like, oh, I had 2 cupcakes. They were just there and I ate them. Can you imagine ever saying to your spouse, your child, your friend, I knew you couldn't stick to the plan. This is why you're so overweight. This is why you'll never succeed. Like, I'm scratching my head. I would never say that to my daughter. I would never say that to my mother, like to anybody I know. Yet we say these things to ourselves. Yes, screw it. I'll never be thin. I don't need to be thin. I don't want to be thin, right? You may say those things, but you wouldn't say that to anybody else. And I want you to think about that the next time you overeat. This is something that you can start doing right away. You can start showing some more compassion to yourself, right? I ate this much, but I'm okay. I ate this much and I'm going to try better next time. And yes, there are usually, yes, thank you for popping that into the Q&A. There's more swear words that are involved in this. I'm trying to keep this PG. But yes, those things do go off in my head as well. And we're so stuck. We're stuck with ourselves, right? The other person, if you started talking to somebody else like that, they'd be like, I'm out of here. You are not being helpful. But we can't do that with ourselves. Like, we are literally stuck with ourselves. Our brain follows us everywhere. And so that is something that you could start doing right away, just because you are enough. That is the one mantra that I have been able to leverage on a daily basis. At one point, I had it kind of in an ink tattoo on my forearm, just that I am enough. And it's made a lot of difference. All right. So what did I miss? We beat ourselves up when we make mistakes. We don't have to do that. We really don't have to do that. All right. And then my fifth secret, or fifth reason, which leads to the secret, is we don't believe we're capable of losing the weight, right? That's what somebody had just said anyways, that you just don't think you can. And maybe you've tried it in the past. I know I have tried Slim Fast. I've tried in the 80s to eat no fat, early 90s. What else? Weight Watchers. I was on Weight Watchers several times. Weight Watchers app, Weight Watchers in person, the Noom app. I've tried a bunch of them. And when we base our possibilities of what we can do on our past, we would never improve, right? We don't know what's possible for us to do until we do it, right? iPhones were impossible to somebody until they weren't, right? We almost have to believe in ourselves ahead of time, believe in what's possible for us. None of us, I want to go back to the analogy. If you've ever seen a child learn to walk, right? If you've ever seen a 1-year-old who's just cruising around, right? They pick themselves up. They are so proud of themselves that they got themselves up. They go to take a couple steps and boom, they're back down, right? They try and try. How many times do you think your toddler, has fallen? Right? Hundreds, maybe hundreds of times. And it is in the falling that they learn to grab on, and they learn to get their feet underneath them, and they learn to push themselves up. And it is in the failing to do something and the persistence to reach a goal that gets us the strength we need to stand back up. It is falling that gives babies the strength that builds their strength in their legs to get them to stand back up. And that's us, right? The things we think are impossible are only impossible because we've never pictured them. We've never pictured them happening. And so I have a tool that we're going to use right now. I want you to think about yourself. If you're not already there, I want you to think about yourself at your goal weight. We are going to make a connection in your brain with your future self. Okay. I want you to think about in your mind what your ideal weight is, maybe whatever the number is. Just, I want you to think about it. And I want you to picture yourself at that weight. And I want you to kind of look around at that person. And I want you to look at, what is that person wearing? Like, how do they dress? Do they dress the same way that I do now? What is that person's relationship with food? Right? Do they always want dessert? When they go to the market, right? What is in the shopping cart of the woman? You're all women on my call. What is in their shopping cart? What are they buying at the market that maybe you're not buying now? What are they not buying that you are? I want you to spend some time thinking about that person, because it is in the thinking about that person who's already achieved the goal that you are looking for that we can find ourselves. We trick our brains. I know somebody doesn't like brain hack. It's not really a brain hack. We're tricking our brains into seeing ourselves at our ideal weight. And the more time we spend there, the more we get to believe that it's possible. And it is in the believing that something is possible and then taking actions that gets you to the goals that you want. And that's not just true for weight loss. That's true for everything. You picture yourself having achieved your goal, you spend enough time there, you get to know that person, and you start to believe it. And that is what I want for all of you. So let me kind of sum up a little bit. Oh, hold on. Reasons why we overeat. Our brains have been programmed. Actually, I'm going to skip forward. Our brains have been programmed, and guess what? We can reprogram them. One thing you can start doing today is journaling, writing your thoughts down, getting them out of your head and onto paper, and looking at how many times are you like talking smack about yourself, right? Sometimes just that awareness of how we're talking to ourselves gives us an opportunity to make a change. Reprogram the brain. We change our behaviors and our thoughts around food. Again, this is just what's worked for me. There are plenty of other plans out there that are really diet in nature. I don't feel like what I'm doing is a diet. It's really changing my thoughts about food. And when I change my thoughts about food, I don't want to eat as much. I have found that I don't have the desire to overeat as much because it doesn't just go away altogether. Some people it might. I haven't experienced that yet. I'm definitely not there yet. So behaviors and thoughts. Spend more time getting to know our bodies. How does food feel in our bodies, right? We eat some things and then afterwards, how full are we? Like, did that salad really fill me up? Maybe, maybe not. Maybe I need some more protein. Maybe I need to tweak something about my salad. But getting to know your body and how your body responds to the food you eat is really helpful. And food journaling. That was the other thing you can start doing right away is food journaling. Be encouraging to ourselves, just being nice. Just stop swearing at yourself would probably be a good starter if that's something that you do. Yes, I would encourage that. Be encouraging to yourself. And then finally, practice believing in your own possibilities. Get to know that person who is your ideal weight. Get to know her, get to know what she's like. And I'm going to just hit my stop sharing so I can see you all better. All right. And then the last suggestion I am going to make is coaching. Again, it gets to the root of the problem. And if we can get to the root of the problem, one of the things that I always did, and this is another kind of coaching term, was if I was stressed, if I was frustrated, if I was overwhelmed, whatever, I would just not want to feel those feelings. They were so aversive to me that I would just eat, right? And we call that buffering. So I would just buffer with food. It was a very numbing tool that I could use on a regular basis that got me to 40 pounds overweight. So I do lack the desire to overeat in a lot of ways. I can actually tolerate being hungry. I used to be the person who couldn't tolerate being hungry. I would go to get on an airplane and I'd have to have the whole list of snacks, right? If not for myself, I would sell them if I needed to. If I was ever stuck on a tarmac for 5 hours, I needed to have snacks. That was my worst fear, being somewhere without something to eat. Those things have changed. I eat when I'm hungry, not all the time, but if I am hungry and it's time to eat, I will eat. I stop when I'm full. I have stopped snacking between meals. That was a huge, huge thing for me. And I never thought it was possible. I really didn't. But I'm proof, and I want that all for you all. So if you're interested in hanging out, I'm going to tell you a little bit about my Stop Overeating Mastermind that I'm starting next week on November 16th. And so I've broken this up into 3 phases for a lot of different reasons. I'm going to explain to you why. First phase is phase 1, and it's 5 weeks in length. And it is all about mindset work. So it's all about building awareness. It's all about learning about the science of gaining and losing weight. I talk about hormones. I talk deeper into the reasons we overeat as well. And then I will go into what's your commitment to yourself? What are some decisions that you can make ahead of time? What are the obstacles that you may run into on your weight loss journey? And we try to plan for all of those ahead of time, but it's all thought work. And so I haven't found anybody who really wants to lose weight during the holidays. But again, you're developing an awareness, and you may find that you're not as likely to overeat if you're starting to do some of these things that I've mentioned that you can start doing today. So that's phase one. And phase one is I'm going to send you a video recording every week in an email. And it's going to have some attached worksheets that you can work on. And if you just did watch the video and did the worksheets, you'd be great. You'd be well on your way to the kind of mindset work you need to continue on your journey. I will also be doing a live Q&A where I'm going to be sharing my completed worksheets, telling you a little bit more, answering any questions you may have about anything that was in the videos, encouraging you all to share if you wanted to, what your worksheets look like, questions you may have. And that's going to be phase one. So it starts next week, the week before Thanksgiving, and it's going to go through till the week before Christmas. And that's what you're welcome to sign up for. I used to have a box open. So in the chat box, I'm opening up my chat box. I'm sending it to attendees. Type my message here. I'm new to this chat stuff. All right. So in the chat box, I posted a link to register for that webinar for phase one. Phase two is, let me just pop that out. Okay. Phase two is not going to start until the beginning of January, where most people now want to start losing weight, which is great. And so that's why I kind of planned it like this. So phase two is only going to be for a certain number of people. So I can take pretty much everybody into phase one. And if you just did phase one, you would absolutely get something out of it, and you'd be well on your way to do whatever other program or plan you may want to start at the beginning of the year. Phase two is when we really start digging into the behaviors. And one of the things that I have you do is basically hand in your worksheet on commitment and your worksheet on obstacles. You hand them in to me, you submit those to me, and then we have a 45-minute one-to-one coaching session where we're going to talk about your goals. And then we're going to talk about what makes sense and whether phase two actually makes sense for you or not. Because it is a commitment, and it's a pretty intensive phase two. So you can do that. And then phase two is all the same things in phase one. The difference is there's also a 20-minute one-to-one coaching session with me every week. And so whatever you need coaching on we're going to talk about in your 20-minute coaching session. You can still bring things up on the live Q&A. And food logs. Food logs are a must. You do have to submit those. There's definitely some accountability in there. If you want to achieve those goals, no matter what, you're going to do what I tell you to do because it works. Phase three is going to be 3 months long. And it's going to go the week of January 4th through the end of March. And that's going to be phase two. And then phase three is going to start up right after that. Again, all the same things in phase two, same kind of small program. I can't take too many people in that program. And then for those of you who are sticking around till phase three, I'm going to have some pretty juicy bonuses, some for my stayers. And so it'll be great. All right. So the cost of phase one is $50. It's $10 a week for the next couple of weeks, 5 weeks, while you're in it. And I really wanted that to just be an introductory because as I mentioned, there's lots of different ways to go about your weight loss journey. Coaching is very specific. It's a particular way, and it is a lot of thought work. And so I wanted to give you an introduction just to make sure that it is the right fit for you. Both phase two and phase three are going to be $400 each. And I split that up because I know finances are tricky for people right now, number one, but also I really want you to commit every single time. And And that's my idea of helping you kind of recommit every time, because sometimes we get in these programs and after we make some progress, we just kind of stop. And my idea is that kind of buying in, recommitting. We'll do another 45-minute one-to-one coaching session between phase 2 and phase 3. All right. So what else can I tell you about it? Oh, the one-to-one coaching, you stick through the whole program. It's like 10 hours of one-to-one coaching with me, 300 hours approximately of videos and information, and then another 26 hours of the live Q&A and possibly do some group coaching as well. So there's a lot packed into there. And you will have a mindset change. I will absolutely guarantee you that. And you will lose weight. You can't not lose weight on this program. My hope is that you start to believe in yourself, really, as much as I already believe in you. I know it's possible. I'm proof that it's possible. All right. So if you're at all interested in asking me any questions, you can go ahead and pop those questions into the Q&A, and I will answer anything that you have. Yes. Okay. So is this a diet? Are you just going to help us stop overeating? So this isn't, I don't think about this as a diet. And here's the other thing. I'm not going to tell you what to eat. This is not your typical, weight loss journey that you're going on. I don't tell you what you eat. You get to eat whatever you want to. I'll give you a list of some healthier foods that you can choose. I can make recommendations for frequency of eating. You may want to do some interval fasting. That's completely up to you. I'm not going to tell you you have to stop eating sugar and flour. But if you want to, I will help you stop eating sugar and flour. This is, you basically write your own ticket, and I am your guide and your coach through all of it. So yes, so phase 2 is 3 months. So it's a little more than like $100 a month. It's 3 months from week of January 4th till the end of March. And then phase 3 is going to take us from the beginning of April to like the first week of July, right? End of June, first week of July. So all total 2 and 3 are 6 months, and I have you recommit in the middle. There is not one-to-one coaching in all 3 phases. So the one-to-one coaching really kicks in phase 2 and phase 3. You know what? Let me just say, there might be some one-to-one coaching in phase 1. It really depends on how many people I have engaged, but I was anticipating lots of people signing up for phase 1, and I just didn't think I would have the capacity to coach everybody in phase 1, but definitely 20-minute sessions in phase 3, and then the live coaching as well. All right, any other questions? Oh, how do you accept payments? So I have set up PayPal as my method of receiving payments. I think it's the safest for the consumer. I have found with myself in paying for things. And so the link in the chat box, you can click on that and it'll take you to the registration, where I just have you answer some questions, and then you can register and pay right there. I'm also going to be sending you an email after this. I'll put this recording in. You can look at it again. You can share it with anybody else you want to. And I'll have the link in there as well. All right. Can we get a family discount? That's great. So I'm going to say no for phase 1, but if you're interested in phase 2 and phase 3, then definitely hit me up and we can talk more about a family discount. That's great. So yes, thank you for that question. So I haven't yet done installment plans, but I'd certainly be willing to work with folks on that. it would be you'd be making the commitment for the 3 months at a time. And so I'd certainly be willing to talk to you about that. And you can email me. I believe I sent you all emails prior to this, just kind of reminding you about the webinar, but my email is susan.changeovertime@gmail.com. So I will have a new email at some point, but that's the one I'm working on now. All right. Any other questions? I'm so excited. The more I spend kind of in the development and the creation of this, the more excited I get. I've actually lost a couple pounds just going through this process and kind of believing in all of you and what I have set up to give you. All right. So just to be clear, through this program, I'm going to be taking you on a journey, and the end result is going to be you reaching your goal, right? I want you to get to know that future self of yours that's already completed it, because we're going to go there. We're going to ask her. We're going to say, how did you do it? What did you do to get to this ideal weight? And how has your thinking changed? And we're going to access her to build our beliefs. And your result will be your belief in yourself. And if you can do this, you're going to get to the point where you're going to feel like you could do anything, right? These principles that I'm going to teach you about reaching a goal can apply to anything else you want to do. And so if you're ready to take the step, join me. I look forward to working with you. It would really be an honor to have you become the best version of you and to allow me to be a part of that. All right, everyone. You have a great night. Thank you so much. If you have any questions, just email me. Okay, bye.